Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rob, and before some of you get mad at me for rocking a Razorbacks shirt, I don't really care about sports. My mom buys this stuff for me and I just wear it. So with that out of the way, in this video we are going to take a look at a kitchen right here on the screen with cabinets that go all the way up to the ceiling. Seems to be pretty standard these days. You got glass on the upper section and crown all the way to the ceiling. Specifically though, in this video we're gonna kind of zero in on this cabinet right here. We've got one small one on each side of this hood, and we're just gonna focus in on this cabinet, and I think we're pretty much gonna be able to build the entirety of it in VCarve Pro. So we're gonna do it inside of VCarve. And I think we can pretty much do everything except for the face frame itself. Unfortunately, can't do that inside of VCarve. So at any rate, let's get going. Before we get into VCarve, we're just going to jump into my main CAD, which is Cabinet Vision, just real quick, and we're just going to kind of go over this thing so that way we know what it is we're doing. We're going to do a wall that's going to be 18 inches wide and 53 tall. The reason it's going to be 53 tall, so we're going to change our wall height to 9-foot ceiling. Actually, we need to make this top rail a little thicker so we can get the crown in the ceiling. So it's going to be 53 tall because I guess, standard height off the floor, we've got 54 inches or so. And this 109, probably closer to 108 by the time you have flooring and everything. So that's probably more accurate. But what this does is at a starting elevation of 54 inches all the way up to, we leave 1 inch space for the crown, so we have room to manipulate it. That's where we get that 53 inches from. So it's going to be 12 inches deep, 18 wide, 53 inches tall. And we've got the upper section here. If we go in, let's go into this cabinet. Go ahead and get rid of the doors for a second. So the upper section is going to be 14 tall. The bottom section is going to be 33 tall. All the face frame is 1.5 inches, except for this top rail, is we've got it at 3 inches. So we're going to actually make this 3 inches tall. And then for the door, we're going to make this you know what? There we go. Just glass, and then just a regular door. Alright, so if we take a look at it, so this is what we've got. Pretty straightforward. We got 2 shelves on the inside, open space on the top, and alright, so that's the overview. So let's get into VCarve and start building this thing. Here we are at the load or the start page for VCarve Pro. We're going to come over here to create a new file, and we're going to focus on the body parts first. So for me, that's going to be 1/2 inch plywood. So 4x8 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood, and we're pretty much going to get everything. So the sides, top, center partition, and the bottom and the back, that's all going to be 1/2 inch, and then the shelves will be at a 3/4 inch. Plywood, and then the doors, that's going to be, we're going to do that at a machine grade MDF, which is still 3/4. So for the first sheet, we're going to do 5 inches right here. Machine bed, that's for me. All this is correct for my machine. We're going to hit OK. So here's our piece of plywood. So let's start with the more complicated parts first. So we'll start with the left and the right sides. So we're going to draw a rectangle, and we've got some numbers here, but that's not what we want. So instead of 18 on the height Y, we're going to put 11.5, because The overall depth is 12. We've got a 1/2 inch back, so 11.5 plus that 1/2 inch back, that gives us 12 inches deep. And then the height, which, yeah, the 53, I think that's correct for the height. So we're gonna hit create, and that's going to run it with my grain. So there we go. So we've got this part right here. So if we go back to cabinet vision, double click this on the end. So if we can see here, we've got dado here, a dado here that we've got to add, a dado here at the bottom. We've got drill holes on either side, if you can see that. And then we've got this back rabbet for the back to seat into. So yeah, so right here. So we've got that. So all the dados, the back rabbet, and the drill holes. All right, so let's just pick one to start. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here, call this base layer. We're gonna leave it black. We're going to add a new layer, and we're going to call this dado. Yeah, we'll make this red, and then we'll call rabbit. And this step is not critical or anything. I like to kind of have everything organized by operation, at least by tool, but it's easy to see for me what it is that I'm doing. So we're going to click the dado. Actually, let's do the back rabbit first because that's the simplest. So we're going to right click, guidelines, create a horizontal line. Let's save this just in case my machine does something funny. Yeah, we'll call this wall tutorial. Doing that just as a precautionary measure because my computer's been acting a little funny lately, so. Anyway, okay, so new position. We're going to go 0.5 off the bottom. And, okay, so we've got that. So we're on the rabbit. It's going to get our snap line. So we're just going to draw a line, basically, just where that dotted line is. And then if we delete that, we should have it green, which is what we want. So green represents our back rabbit. So that looks good. So now we're going to switch to the dado. And we're going to say this is the bottom and this is the top. So first one's easy. .75. We're going to come 3/4 up off the bottom. That's where the first dado is going to start. So same deal here. Okay. There we go. So we've got our first dado. Alright, so our next dado, the reason we're not going to add like another, like you could go up a 1/2 inch from that and add another line. So I'm going to be using an actual 1/2 inch tooling. So the tool will dictate the 1/2 inch I need, but if you're using a smaller tool, you can make another line a 1/2 inch and have the tool run in between the lines. But all right, so we need this middle line. So if we come back here, we're just gonna take measurements off cabinet vision, and this is just to show you where I'm pulling these numbers from. So all right, so we want this where this dado starts. So if we take a measurement off the bottom, I can see that over here on the left under the inspector panel under distance, I've got 35.25. So that's going to be where I need to start my next dado line. So if we come back here, we can right click and put 35.25. Same deal. Well, probably should get a little closer here. So. Okay, and I'm not going to delete this one yet. We're going to use it again. here in a second, but you can kind of see. So now we've got we've got this one. So the last one is up at the top. So if we're just going to do the same thing again, and if we look over at the left side, we've got a distance of 51 3/4 off the bottom. So same deal. We're going to right click this. 51 3/4. Alright, and that's to the bottom of it. So we just have to make sure, so on, as we're taking these, or as I'm taking these dado measurements, I just have to know, I got to keep in mind that I'm starting, the tool needs to run on this side of this line. Same for the bottom. So on each of these, because I'm only using one line in the actual width of the tool, I know that we're going to be to the right of each of these. All right, so we've got the all the dados, the rabbits. So now it's time for the drill holes. So for the drill holes, we can do the same thing. I'm going to go back into Cabinet Vision, and if you don't have a program, I'm just pulling this off Cabinet Vision. It does not have to be exact, but this was programmed, pre-programmed when I bought it. So these measurements are pretty much close to what the industry standard is. So that's why I'm pulling it off of this program. So if we take a look, we're looking at the right side. If we come from all the way to the back, we can go to the center of this hole from the back, so we can see over on the left on the distance, we've got a distance of 2.5 inches. So from the side of the rabbit, we should be able to make another horizontal line and come up 2.5 inches. So that should be where the center holes are. And so if we do that again with the farther holes on the other side, you can see over on the inspector I've got a distance of 9 inches. So then that means we should be able to come and make a second horizontal line. Put 9 inches in there, and that should represent where the center lines of our holes are. So now we just need to know where they start. So same deal. And if you're just doing a onesie and twosie cabinet, it doesn't matter. You can put them in as wherever you know that it's going to work. So I've done that many a times where I don't follow exact measurements, as long as I know the shelves will securely fit in there. Alright, so if we go to the bottom, well, actually maybe it's easier to start in the center here. So we're going to start in the center here, and we're going to come all the way to the bottom. This is saying 7 1/16. Is that what it's saying? 7 1/16. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that 16th. So if anything, we can create a vertical line. And let's just say 7. Alright, so we'll start it at 7. And then the amount of holes, let's see, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18. 18 holes, and so the distance between these holes is going to be, in inches, is going to be 1.25 inches. And that's pretty much like, as far as in the United States, that's pretty standard. I mean, my CNC, that's what the separation and the drill head, my bits are 1.25 inches apart. So pretty much, I think what everyone does out there. So I'm just gonna right click that guide. So we're going to go relative to guide down here. And we're going to put 1.25 inches, so that's the space that we want in between. And 18 of them create new guides. And I'll go ahead and save. So to place the holes, I made a video of this earlier and someone told me a better way to do it. And I haven't got a chance to look into it yet. So when it comes to using VCarve, I might not be the most savvy, so I apologize if there is a better way of doing things. So I'm going to create a new layer, holes. And I'm going to get this circle, draw a circle. Radius, we're going to put 1/4. It doesn't really matter. It's mostly just for where we want that center reference when we drop our drill. Alright, so we've got all our holes in place. Come up here to view guidelines. I'm going to delete them all. Turn off snapping. So save this guy. So if you can pretty much kind of see that's what we got going on here. So that looks pretty good. So that is one side. Let's say, I think that's the right side. So to make the left side, all we're going to do is we're going to just select this whole thing, edit, copy, edit, paste, and right here I'm just going to drag them up right there, and then we're going to select this one. We've got to mirror everything. Alright, so mirror, so that's our ends right there. So our left and our right side. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so let's move on to the tops, bottoms, and the center partition. To make the top, bottom, and horizontal partition, pretty simple. We're going to start with the top and the horizontal partition first because those are both the same. And then we'll do the bottom, which is just a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and make another square. And this is going to be 11. And the width is going to be 16.938. So it's an 18-inch wide cabinet. We are going to make the 16 and 15/16, so just 1/16 shy of 17 the width. So we're going to hit create, and it's blue. We don't want it blue, we want it black. So we're going to right click, move to layer base. There we go. Alright, so the only thing that we need to do is add some notches. This thing's going to need notches, which will slip into the face frame because we dado our face frame, so that's where that is. So we're going to create a vertical line, and we're going to do 1.25 inches. I think that's what we normally do, 1.25 inches. And then, oh shoot, okay, gotta do some math here. My brain doesn't always like math. So it's 16. We need to come down 1.25 inches from 16 and 15/16. So if we do 17 minus 1 inch is 16, minus 1/4 is 15 3/4. So 15 and 13/16. I don't know what 13/16 is. So I pulled up my handy dandy chart here because I don't have hardly any of this stuff memorized. You'd think I would. So let's find 13/16, 11/16, 13/16 right here. Oh, 0.8125 point. I could be way off. So we're going to find out if I'm way off, and I'm not going to edit this out. Alright, so let's zoom in here. I'm gonna measure this, dude. Is it close to 1.25 inches? As long as we're close, we're good. Did I do something wrong? Yeah, we're definitely not 1 word, 0.25. What did I do? So 17, so 16, 15, and 3/4. So, tell you what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go 16.938. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. It's getting late. I apologize. I'm tired. So, we're going to go relative to guide. And we're going to do 1. And let's go negative 1.25. Create. Okay, that was not... Yeah, that's what we wanted right there. Perfect. Okay, so we're good. We're going to delete that guide. And now we should be 1.25 inches. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we're good there. All right, and then now we're going to come... We're going to do a horizontal guide, and we're going to come, this is 11, and we want to come down 1/4 inch, so we're going to do 10.75. Okay, so that's all we want. We only need this notch to come down 1/4 inch. So let's get our line tool, and we'll just do that on, let's get the right layer selected. Alright, we'll move it over here in a second. Okay. Get snapping on too. Alright. Alright, so if we delete the guides, let's move to layer base. Alright, that's pretty much what we want. So let's get this trim. Let's get rid of that. Alright, so that's what we're going to do for the tops and bottoms, and you don't have to worry about the little square. There's no need to try to radius that because your bit's probably round, and just a round bit trying to follow that path will put that radius in there for you, so there's no need to do anything like that. So now all we've got to do is we're going to Control-C, Control-V. I'm hitting up on the keyboard. Alright, so we've got our top and our horizontal partition. Alright, so the bottom is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to do the exact same thing except for an 11. We're going to do 11.5. And this is just how we make them. So what we're doing here is the top and the horizontal partition go into the back, but the bottom actually, let's see if I can do this where you can see it. It might be hard. The bottom looks like this, and then it's going to have a 1/4 inch down with a 1/2 inch wide base for the back, basically to index into. So that's what we're doing on the bottom. So that's why we have to do that one a little bit different. Alright, so technically I guess we could have, here, let's try something. If I Control-C, Control-V, we're going to move this see, and then the Y position, let's go 0.5 because we're going to add that 1/2 inch. So I think the easiest way, I think there's a resize. Found it. So what we're going to do, that's what I was looking for. We're going to select everything, hit T on the keyboard, which goes to the set size. And I think we can just, if we unlink it, I think we should be able to hit 11.5. Let's see what it does. It should just change it to 11.5, and yep, we're good. Okay, yeah, so you hit T. Just think of it as transform. If there's any editors out there that are used to the term transform or free transform, so T for that, that's what it is. So then we're going to hit move. I'm just going to zero that back out. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to create actually, let's go dado. We'll call it dado. Give it a different color. So horizontal line, do 1/2 inch. Did I do 0.5, not 5. 0.5. There we go. That's what we want. Alright, so snapping back on. And delete that. Got a little bit overshot it a little bit. That's okay. We'll just cut it. Alright, so that's it. That's my tops, my horizontal partition, and my bottoms. And now we just need the back, and we're done with the body parts. Alright, so the back it's not going to come on this cabinet, it's not going to come all the way up to the top. On my particular cabinet, it might on yours if you wanted to, it's no problem. And then it's also going to index in on that that dado or that rabbit, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to put in the back there. So we're going to end up with a size that we need of 16 and 15/16. Same with our width of our tops and bottoms, and then our length is 51.25. So we're going to do 51 by 16.938. I think that's the right orientation. Yep. Move to the base layer. And there we have it. Alright, so these are all our body parts for this cabinet, just like that. And for the sake of time, we're just gonna leave it like this. I mean, we could nest it, try to get it to optimize, but we're just gonna continue trucking on through. So now we're gonna focus on the doors. Alright, so we need to do the doors. So to get the size of a door on a 1/2 inch overlay, it's super simple. So if we go back to, we're looking at this cabinet here. So if I just get rid of the doors, we're gonna act like they're not even here. So we just got this cabinet. This 15 represents my width, 14 represents my height, 15 and 33. So we know that our doors, or our opening, is 15 wide for both doors. We've got a height of 14 and a height of 33. So super simple. We're just going to add an inch to each of those numbers. So the top door is going to be 16 by 15, and the bottom one is going to be 16 by 34. So very, very easy. So we'll focus on the top one, and then we'll do the bottom one. So 16 by 15. So we're going to go to VCarve, save it. And we're going to create we're going to go to the left to create a new sheet. Let's just rename, we're going to rename this one body parts. Okay, we're going to add a new sheet. We're going to call this doors. Alright, so if we're going to double click this door, and we need to make sure, we're going to switch to the toolpath command a second. Come to material setup. Alright, we're going to make this 3/4 inch thick. So it's going to be machine grade MDF. So it's very important that we make sure we have it the right thickness, 3/4. So if we go back to drawings, if we zoom out, you can see we've got our body parts over here and our doors. We need to double click to go back and forth. Super simple. Alright, so our first door, let's go ahead and, what did we say? We said 16 tall, 15 wide. 16 wide, 15 tall. So 16, all right, by 15. So we're going to create this. All right. All right, so here's our top door. Well, that didn't work. There we go. What we want. We could make this an entirely new color, but we'll just stick to black. All right, shaker style is going to be the door that, the style that we're going to go for. So, in fact, actually, you know what? I'm actually going to move this one out of the way. We're going to do this one second. We're going to do the other one first. And the reason is that one's going to need glass. This one's the simpler one of the two. So we're going to focus on the one that does not need glass first. So just solid shaker door. Alright, really simple here. We're going to click, we're going to go to our offsets, and we're going to go inward, and we're going to go inward offset 2 1/4. Okay, standard for me, 2 1/4. Alright, so right now we just got a square inside a square, but that's okay. That's what we all we need for that one. Alright, so this one, let's go ahead and move this one back down. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to offset it in 2 1/4. Okay, duplicate vectors were identified in the selection and are being ignored. Okay, I don't understand. What do you mean duplicate vectors? How in the world? I must have hit it twice. Alright, so let's try that again. Okay, perfect. Alright, so we've got basically what we need, but on this one, so technically to do cut for glass doors on MDF, I think it's proper to do a double-sided operation, but I'm kind of, I don't really like double-sided operations. Maybe it's laziness. So we're just going to pretend that this is the back of the door, and we're just going to like machine all the way through this thing. So with that in mind, we're going to take this line that we just created, and we're going to offset it outward 1/4 of an inch. Okay. So what I'm actually going to do here is we're going to move this to a color layer. Let's do it the rabbit. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I'm doing here, so as opposed to this one, we're going to machine this out. We're going to pocket this out so it looks like a shaker door, standard shaker. But on this one here, we're actually going to, before we do our pocketing, we're going to run a bit along this green line and create like a shelf for the glass to sit in. So when you take it to the glass company, they got a shelf. And honestly, 1/4 inch might not even be enough. I'm not sure. You might want to do it 3/8 or even maybe a 1/2 inch. But for the sake of this, we'll just leave it at the 1/4 inch for now. So I'm going to we'll move this Y position down to 0. And we'll just bring it over here like that for now. And I believe I think that's everything that we're going to do except for shelves. Okay, so we've got to do shelves. So for the sake of this is 3/4 material. We're just going to put the shelves in with this for dimension's sake. No, what we can do a new sheet. It's fine. So we'll just add new shelves. Okay, so we'll do shelves. We'll go ahead and make sure real quick we still got 3/4, and then this way you can keep it separate. It's plywood as opposed to the MDF. All right, so if we come over here to, okay, let's see, my shelves. So on a 12-inch deep cabinet with the 1/2-inch back, we're looking 10.5 by 16 3/8, and we want 2 of them. So we'll do 16.375 3/8, 10.5. We'll hit OK. And I don't know why I did that. It's because I have numbers in here. So we're gonna zero that out. Control C, Control V, and these are our 2 shelves. So we're good. We've got everything. We've got our body parts, our doors, and our shelves. Looks good. All right. It's time to start assigning some tool paths. Before we start assigning tool paths, we're actually going to group some of this stuff together to make it a little quicker. First thing we're going to do is we're going to group all of the drill holes together. So we're going to come over here to Group Selected. So now they are pink when we select them. We are going to select all of these outer ones. We're going to group these. Like I said, we're not going to optimize, for waste. I'm not worried about any of that. Can't really. You can try to group these dados, but it just never works for me, so I don't mess with it. If we go to the doors, we can group, we'll go ahead and group these outer cuts, and then the shelves, we can group both of those together. So, alright, so we're going to start with the body parts. Again, I'm going to save it. Okay, we're going to go over to Toolpath, and I know I say a disclaimer, my tool library is probably very different than your tool library. So with that in mind, we're going to get started. So the first thing that I always do first is drill holes, and that's because my CNC, the way that Cabinet Vision does it, it does drill holes first, so I just kind of, I keep with that rhythm. So we're going to do drilling tool path. We're going to drill down 3/8, so 375. So my tool, I actually have a tool, because VCarve won't command my drill head, I actually put one of the drill bits inside of a tool, so I pick it up like a regular tool and it does it 1 by 1. So that's how I have to do drill holes. So everything else looks okay. We're just going to hit calculate and preview visible. There we go. We got our drill holes. So we're going to come back, and after my drill holes, I always do rabbet and dados. So we're just going to pick a place and start going. So we'll do the green first. So we're going to close out here. We're going to go back to Profile Toolpath. We're going to go in a 1/4 inch, and we are going to be using a 1/2 inch end mill. So not sure if it's inside or outside. Maybe there's a way for you guys to tell me like how I know exactly which side it's going to go on, but I never know until I try it. So we're just going to say rabbet _1, and we'll leave it. I know it's not going to be on, so it's either in or out. We're going to calculate, immediately come to my 2D view, and I know that I picked the right one because this arrow is on the correct side. So that means that I should be able to select the other rabbet, do the same thing, and go to outside, do rabbet 2, and we should be good there. Alright, so now let's do the dado. So we're going to close. We'll just leave it at outside. We're just going to start naming these dado underscore. We're going to start with 1, and we're just going to do a running count. So So that is not correct because I need it on the right side of that. So double click, go to inside, and there we go. So now we're going to select the next one. Hopefully inside works. Again, and so we're going to hit calculate. Yep, it looks good. And then the same for here. Put dado 3. Alright, so that looks good. So then let's come over here. We're going to put dado 4. Oh no, profile. We're going to do dado underscore 4. If I start to mumble, I apologize. It's been a long day. A long day. So we need to go to the other side of that line. There we have it. So we're going to go back over here. So probably the outside, all these are going to be on the outside. So we were on the inside going on the first one, and now we're on the outside. It's because we reversed it. So whenever you reverse it or do a mirror, it flips the whatever side it's going to be on. So that's why it's always hard to tell, and I quit trying to figure it out, and I just start going and changing it as I go. So okay, we're good there. So the only thing we have left to do is click one of the outside. Actually, nope. I lied to you. We got to do this guy right here. So 1/2 inch. We'll put dado 7, and I don't know what side. We're just going to pick one, and it's the wrong one. Inside. Alright, so appears that we're good. So now we can select the outer ones since we've got all the other outer ones. And on this one we're going to go all the way through. And I'm actually going to use my 3/8 compression bit. And this one will usually always be on the outside because we're doing the outside perimeter of a cut. So I always name this cut through. Cut through. We'll just cut through. Okay, so we looking good. Go 3D view, preview all toolpaths real quick. So let's see what we got. Okay. All right, so looks like we're good. So we've got this. We've got that piece that I was talking to you. That's going to be. Get rid of that. I guess we can get rid of that little piece of scrap. Thought you're supposed to get. Oh, there we go. I guess I just had to get closer. Alright, so drill holes, well, they should line up, no problem, because we actually copied off of this one and just mirrored it. There's the back. Alright, so we're good there. So we're going to save. Alright, we're going to go to the shelves next, because that's like the next easiest one. We're going to go to Profile Toolpath. This one's going to be 3/4 inches deep, because it's a 3/4 shelf, and so we're going to name this cut through. The cut through is just my own way of saying that it's going to go all the way through the material down to the spoil board. Alright, so we're good there. Nothing special. Okay, so now we're at the doors. The MDF doors. 3/4. Alright, so let's take a look at this big one first. We're going to select this inner profile. And we're going to do a pocketing toolpath. And we're just going to come in. Let's do a 1/4 inch. This kind of varies, but for this we'll do, we're going to do 3/8 of an inch just so it's good contrast looking at it on the computer. But normally I think it's like a 1/4 inch to 3/4 to 3/8, something like that. All right, so the pocketing, how the pocketing works if you're new to VCarve, it's going to analyze all the tools that you've put in the database, and when you say pocket out this path, it's going to look and see, it's going to weigh through all the tools from your biggest hoggers down to your finest, and it'll start assigning them to clear out certain areas, and then as it gets closer to the corners, it'll assign the smaller tools. That's why on this computer it's going to want to start with a 1/2 inch, and then as it gets closer to the corner, it gets down. I actually have a hogger head that's 2 1/4. It's not programmed in. This is my home computer, but I actually, if I were to do this on my work computer, instead of this 1/2 inch end mill, it's actually going to replace that with a 2 1/4 hogging tool. So, but that's how that works. So if we just we'll just leave that as pocket 1. I'm going to select this, and the pocketing knows to do it on the inside. And if we hit preview visible, you can see what it's going to do. It's going to hog it down, and then it's going to work into the corners with the smaller bits. Alright, so we've got that. Okay, so what we're actually going to do here, so before we do anything, I think I'm going to, let's see, how do I want to do this? Okay, we're going to, before we do anything, let's take, this is an experimentation here. We normally make cut for glass out of 5-piece doors, but we're going to do it out of MDF on this one and just see what results we get. So let's go 3/8 of an inch. And the reason we can get away with, so this is going to be the front of the door, this is going to be the back of the door on cut for glass. The only reason we can get away with a front and a back on the same sheet is because we're going all the way through this one, and so you don't need a front, it's going to be glass. So that's kind of the thought process there. So we're going to ride the line on this one. I want to ride this green line with a 1/2 inch end mill at 3/8 deep. And we're going to call this, I don't know, we'll just put, call this glass shelf, because that's really what it is. It's the glass shelf. So if I hit calculate, we preview it. Okay, so what it's doing is it's going to give me this shelf, and that's where the glass is going to sit. And the reason I did it on the line, good, because we did a 1/4 inch. You remember we offset it a 1/4, so if my tooling is a 1/2 inch, it should on the line just give me that 1/4 inch lip. But actually that would only work. Actually, no, that's going to give me the full line. So actually what I need to do is actually go inside. I need to do inside, yeah, so that's going to give me that 1/4 inch, because even though it's going to put the other 1/4 out here, we're going to hog it out. So I needed to be inside the line, not on the line. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, so we're going to uncheck that so we can see. Okay, so now we want to hog this out. And I'm doing this in that order because I think that's the right way, if we're going to do it this way, to do it. So let's hog it out. Okay. I feel like when we did the hogging pass, we didn't tell it to go deep enough. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to redo this, because I think I left it at 3/8 and not, yes. So we need to get rid of that 3 because we want to go 3/4 deep. Okay, so now. Okay, so now we should have it all the way. It looks like there might be, it's showing that there's a little debris that's still going to be standing, but from my experience, it'll get knocked right off. Like that won't actually probably be there, and it'll flake off. Alright, so now all we got to do is right there, so we're going to do the final cutout. On the outside, 7, we're going to go 3/4 deep, so 0.75 with my compression bit. And hit calculate. Alright, let's get rid of that. And so there we go. We should, I mean, that should work. The right sizes. So you can see that's the mission on the front side. Well, where do we go? And then this is actually the back of the door. It's kind of hard to spin it around in this program, but I think you guys get the idea. So this is that cut for glass with the glass shelf on the back, and then this is your front. So anyway, so that's it. So that's like basically everything but the face frame itself. So hopefully this was something that was helpful for some of you guys out there, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.